Hi everyone.
Hi.
It's quite nerve-wracking because I normally have slides. Well, I did last year. Now I don't think about it as me. And I hide behind them, so I thought I'd practice just sitting and chatting some phone notes. So I haven't taken some notes, so I might be looking at my phone every so often. But they asked me to do a talk on MRKH Empowerment, so it's how to navigate body acceptance, intimacy, and self-love moments. And self-love for me is like a massive, complex phrase because it's really hard and it's not something that's not realistic to talk about self-love, that everyone can achieve it and it's really easy to get to. So I'll talk about that a bit in a minute. But a bit about me, so I'm the founder of a page called Grab My Womb, which is, I'm going to get my water over here just in case. Which is just all shaking the stigma on all things health and happiness and pleasure. And MRKH is obviously my experience. I'm 31 nearly, and I was diagnosed when I was 16. And I was an anonymous advocate to start with, and then went down the route of just being public and shouting loud about it. But I just wanted to make a massive point that you don't have to go public to feel that success in your advocacy journey, and that was just my way of coping with it. And I just felt that a little bit of liberation every time I posted a new thing or said something online when I was anonymous, and then it became like 20 posts, 30 anonymous posts, and then just thought, I'm just gonna do it. And when I did it, I felt really good. So I think that was just my personal journey for advocacy. And then Mind Over MRKH, which Charlie mentioned. Thanks, Charlie, for all the sponsorship. We just do events, and I just create content I wish I would have had when I was 16. So like pleasure related, art and quotes and printouts and colouring sheets and all the stuff. You can check out that separately to this talk anyway. And I also did a talk on dilation and more in-depth about in-depth. That was a good pun. About vaginas and sex. I think that's on your MRKH Connect website. So it's going to go too deep into that. Oh my god! So anyway, I'm going to start off with MRKH and self-esteem. So for me, I think being told that your body didn't develop in the way that you're taught in sex education, especially as someone that identifies as a woman, and things are kind of different on the inside, I think it gives us a lot of anxieties about stuff on the outside. So even like my vagina was underdeveloped, then I therefore thought my vulva must look different and it must look like odd and weird, and because I was born without certain things that young female people should have or typically have, I sort of felt not feminine, and I felt not pretty enough and not like petite enough, and I was tall and I was like, I don't know, a bit like boisterous, and there was like certain things when you're younger you get like name calling and stuff like that, and some of mine was just being a bit more masculine, and I don't know where that came from, but it was all in my head. And it's totally normal to feel like have low self-esteem with MRKH, and to feel like we aren't enough, like emotionally, physically, psychologically, sexually. There's so many complex layers with MRKH where, because things aren't right on the not right, I hate that word, but are typical on the inside, that we overthink everything externally. So stuff with self-esteem issues and things like my nose, my body shape, vulva, face, like angles, like there's so many different things where we all overthink how we look and what our bodies look. And I think MRKH just gives us that added layer of complexity because we kind of feel not enough already, and then it's like everything else is like confidence and getting to know your body and understanding yourself, and it's a massive battle for all of us. But it's MRKH plus beauty standards plus society plus all these other standards that we exist alongside. And I read a quote today which is there's no money in believing you're whole and complete. So just remember that society just profits off us feeling shit about ourselves. And actually, my little tip to myself today was, if I say something bad about myself, I'm going to put a bit of like money in a swear jar and not give it to things that I think are going to make me feel better. But yeah, so I'm personally still not there yet with self-esteem. Like I still struggle with public speaking and like just chatting and being like, I know that people can come across really confident, but remember that everyone's got their own story and journey, and everyone feels anxiety in certain things and how they look or how they sound or how they look at a certain angle, or they don't like pictures being taken. And funny enough, I take so many pictures of myself and post them online, and you asked me about that in the podcast recently, but I still am so fussy when someone takes a picture of me, or if I'm in a picture, or if I'm like, I can probably take about 20 and it comes across as vague, but it's just self-esteem issues, and kind of going, oh shit, my nose looks big there, or So yeah, it's just so normal for us to feel like that. So I wanted to talk a bit, linked to that, about body neutrality, which is a term I learned after being a bit fed up with the sort of commercialisation, yeah, right. The commercialisation of self-love. And it's body neutrality for me is like not having to forcing you to love yourself, not hating yourself, but just being in yourself. And I think I wrote things like you're just living and moving and experiencing things and travelling. And I know that there's a lot of privilege in being able to move and experience and sort of ableist sort of terms as well, but it's just to sort of get the idea of breathing and laughing and loving and feeling. So I think just have a look down the path of all these posts saying love yourself and love everything about your being, and I don't. So I just kind of got to the point where look at what's more realistic, self-acceptance, that just getting a little bit more self-esteem than you had yesterday, or a little bit more than you had last week, or taking a picture and not thinking you look like crap and actually just kind of rolling with it. So just little like baby steps, I think for me has been like really, really important. Yeah, and like recognizing negative self-talk, and that's a massive part of self-compassion as well. So if you don't think you love yourself, just look at self-compassion and thank your body for things that it can do. And I know that not everyone's bodies can do certain things, and I sometimes look at my privilege, and I know that's like a toxic, we should be so grateful, but I do look at my privilege and things that my body can do. And yes, just self-love is hard. Being grateful all the time is really hard. And I think Stacey, you touched on like the mixture between grief and gratitude, and it can exist together, but sometimes don't feel like you have to be grateful for everything. Just because you can do certain things, you don't have to feel grateful. Sometimes you can just feel a bit crap, and that's okay as well. The other thing is non-physical compliments. So like normalise complimenting yourself or someone else about something else that's not, normalise thinking less about how people look and more about like who they are as a person. And like your courage inspires me. I'm so in awe of your creativity. Just so many things about us that are so much more interesting than how we look, or our MRKH, or what body parts we have and what we don't have. Something I did recently was imagining someone else. It's a bit strange, but imagining someone else living in your body and then looking down at that person and watching them do things and enjoying, I don't know, walking along a beach, just smiling and moving with joy, just looking confident and like having like good energy and people smiling at them and just not worrying about their body and how they look, and you're watching yourself in that body, and then you kind of think, actually, I want to get back in and I want to just start living life a bit more with it. So that was a whole thing I was going to read out. I didn't feel it, so I just didn't. So do it later. So just moving on to sex and pleasure self-esteem. So there's a massive link between self-esteem just in general, walking along the street, going, I don't know, meeting new people, meeting new partners, meeting new friends. And then a massive part of MRKH, one of the most stigmatized areas of it is obviously the vagina element and the language of being born without a vagina or a shorter vagina. And I know lots of us have been through vaginal dilation or surgery or nothing at all. So the biggest part of that is it is totally your choice. And Stacey's made amazing like sort of comments about choice is one of the biggest things with disclosure and dilating, and it's all your body, your choice. And the fact that MRKH and sex and pleasure is so intertwined with fertility grief as well. So you've got this complexity of your vagina, then you've got thinking about the fact that normally people have sex to make children, obviously if they're straight, and then it's the societal message that sex is just penis and vagina, and obviously there's so many different people's sexualities and ways that they have sex that isn't that. And for me, redefining sex on loads of my platforms is really, really important for all of us, because intimacy is more than just someone going in and out. And it's not just for MRKH, it's not just for people with MRKH. I did a presentation at the Vaginismus event recently, so there's like 1 in 100 people with vagina that can't have penetrative sex, and there was like 100 people on the screen, and I was just there talking about MRKH thinking I'd feel really different. So I had this other thing that wasn't Vaginismus, and they were all commenting like, oh my god, I totally get what you mean, it's great. And they had such similar stigmas, and not the infertility side of things sometimes, but the just not being able to do a certain type of sex that you're taught is the only type of sex. So yeah, let's redefine sex. It's so much more. It could be touching, intimacy without orgasms, just general like hugging or just being near each other, or just intercourse. And I did a poem for a company called Hello Gina, who are a app for people that suffer with pain during sex, and it was just even there nothing to do with MRKH. They paid me to do a poem all around intercourse. So I was like, oh great, so monetizing my MRKH. So yeah, just quickly touching on the pleasure gap. So those having, I shouldn't say that, sorry. The pleasure gap, I don't know if anyone's heard of like the orgasm gap, but people that actually are having penis and vagina sex statistically have less orgasms, and 80% of people with vulvas and vaginas have only ever climaxed from clitoral stimulation. For me, a massive part of my sort of sexual confidence, because it was really low when I was younger, I would overthink every sexual encounter from like foreplay, which is also sex in itself, to can they feel it? Is there anything different? Can they like notice stuff? And some people did, and some people didn't. I'm not going to lie and say that no one ever felt it, because I actually had a couple of people that did feel the difference in my body compared to someone else, and that gave me like a huge self-esteem drop in sexual sort of experiences with people. But my biggest like sexual liberation in my own self and body was learning about a clitoris and how a vulva works, and how most people don't actually orgasm through PIV, and we're not alone. And like vaginas are all different lengths for MRKHs and for people without MRKH, because the cervix can be lower in some people without MRKH during different like parts of the menstrual cycle. So I've got friends that have had sex with people with a bigger penis, for example, and it's been really hard for them, and they haven't been able to. So I feel like sometimes we overthink that our bodies are so different, but actually it could just be that it's really similar to someone without that. I used to really steer away from sex conversations with friends, and like complete panic, run out the room, like when people talk about periods or anything to do with like that links to MRKH, and you just sort of panic and run away. And I used to do that all the time with sex chats, or have you ever had this, have you ever done this? And I just used to freeze and go, oh. And now I feel like I know more about sex than my friends that don't have MRKH. So like the clitoris has 10,000 nerve endings, for example, and it's the structure surrounds the vulva. So there's so many things to learn about our bodies that I think I wish I would have known when I was younger.
We're kind of that time.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll just quickly add, just for saying, just getting to know your own body and spending time naked and like understanding your body is the biggest thing, and communication. Oh, sorry.